Welcome to Connie Reacts. I'm your host, and today we will be reacting to Season 3, Episode 18 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So last episode it was okay. It had some issues here. It wasn't amazing, and it wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but there were some definite issues that I think were kind of problematic for the series as a whole, especially regarding the fact that it just kind of went off into a direction it really shouldn't have, considering all the big stuff that's currently going on in the series. It just felt like it's trying too hard to be more like classic Star, I guess you could say, like Season 1 Star versus. And we don't want that. At least I don't. Season 1 Star versus was all well and good. It was very enjoyable. But as I believe I said it last time, the reason why I love Star as much as I do is because of how the series has grown. It's changed from that silly little fun, irreverent show about a kooky magical princess from another dimension. It's become so much more than that, and to kind of revert back to its old style. I mean, the idea of doing so isn't terrible. I have no problem with reliving that kind of style with an episode, but it has to fit within the context of the situation of where the show is currently. Now, if we were at a slower point in the show, like let's say something big had just finished and the characters were having this little, like, just calm before the storm kind of moment, then those episodes would have been good and they would have made sense there. But as it is, like, big things are happening and big things should be happening, and it's just they're trying to do other stuff. They're trying to go back to more slice of lifey stuff in the middle of a big story, and it doesn't work. It's never worked for any show that tries to do that. It's not going to work. And as was mentioned by, I think I mentioned it, but I know for sure other people have, the sudden thing with the monsters choosing to leave Muni was way too much out of nowhere. It kind of just happened. It didn't have any proper build-up. It didn't have any proper thought added to it. It just like, oh, we're going to create some more conflict. We're basically going to make it so that Star is just going to be facing all of this trouble, all of these hardships in one fell swoop. And the idea of putting Star under these hardships is, again, all well and good. In fact, it's a great idea to put Star under these hardships, but they have to be done properly. The monsters leaving makes no sense here, because as people have noted, the monster-human relations were going really well. Yes, there were some issues. It wasn't perfect yet. And, I mean, as was mentioned in the episode, I mean, Bullfrog was still getting, like, distrusting looks and whatnot. People were still scared of him. There was the entire thing that happened at the Monster Temple. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to have to take some time. And for them to just, like, take an extreme turn like that, there was no proper build-up. For something as big as that, like, let's be serious here. The monster-human relations has been one of the just biggest story arcs in this entire series. It's one of the main story arcs, I would even go to say. The series has partially focused all around it. So, to have this big change in the status quo to that story arc just happen kind of randomly and without proper build-up is insulting to everything that came before it. And it's bad writing, straight up. Now, like I said, I don't think the past episodes there were just altogether bad or terrible. they still had some merit to them, but you can't ignore these flaws. They're trying to. It's like whatever is coming next might be something really huge, and they're trying to, like, give you, again, this calm before the storm, this kind of just breathing point. And that in and of itself is a fantastic idea. You just came off of a lot of big stuff happening, a lot of big information. Yeah, we want to have like a cool down period before we get into the next huge moments. But this is not how you do it. You want to know how what blah, blah, blah. You want to know what would have been a better way to do a cool down? Have Star, and I mentioned this last time, have Star questioning her heritage, questioning her role as a princess, and have Marco trying to comfort her. Have Tom helping as well. Tom and Marco, and maybe Ponyhead or other friends and family, trying to comfort her, trying to assure her that she's still a princess, trying to assure her that it doesn't matter if the royal lineage was messed with, that she still has a right to the throne and everything. But it's not working, like, right away. Star is continuing to have trouble, and maybe there's some minor issues that Star should be taken care of, but she's not able to because of her emotional condition. So the others have to take care of that, while at the same time still continuing to try and get to her. That would have been better. No big things out of nowhere that would have felt completely out of place. No just random switches in tone and story that just completely seem to ignore what's actually going on here. See, because I have no issue with them going to some slice of lifey stuff, but they have to focus still on what's going on. These past episodes, like, had what, one small bit of reference to it, and then, like, the entire rest of the time it was just completely other random stuff. That's not how you do it. But honestly, I've complained about this long enough. I could talk about this probably forever. I could ramble on, but honestly, I don't think that's fair to you or to the creators of this show, to Darren Nefsey and all the others, because nobody's perfect. There's no such thing as a show that doesn't have issues here and there. Maybe the network told them they had to do something like that. Maybe maybe it wasn't actually supposed to take place there and the episodes were switched around. I don't know. Although some of that wouldn't make complete sense because, again, one of the episodes briefly mentioned the entire thing with Star having these issues still. I don't know. You get the idea, though. I'm not gonna yell at the creators of the show, but I'm not going to deny when I see something that isn't well done. I'm just going to hope for the better going forward. Now, I have heard that a lot of people love this episode. Episode 18. I do not know why. I know nothing about the episode. I know nothing about why people love it, but apparently people really love it. And I've even heard someone say that we're getting back into important stuff. Now, what this means is honestly up in the air at the moment, because some people think other things that are important. Some people think that things that aren't important are, or think that things that are important aren't. So I don't know exactly what they're talking about. Plus, they could be talking about something completely unrelated to what I think they should be focusing on. So it could be some other big important thing, like maybe something involving Glossaric. I mean, he's been in this weird animal like state forever now, pretty much. I want to see him return to normal. It could have something to do with something completely different for all we know. I don't know. But I'm interested to find out. So we are going to get on with this, and we'll talk more in the afterthoughts. So in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, and when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much once again for tuning in, and I'll see you at the blah, 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 at the reaction. I can't speak. See you there. We are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I want to show you something real quick. See this? This is my pocket knife. Now, as you guys know, I've mentioned before, I basically have to constantly be messing with something in my hands, because it's like an anxiety slash autism tick where I just have to be messing with something. You guys might have seen, like, in streams and stuff, I'll mess with, like, this candy cane case thing. I've sometimes messed with fidget spinners, sometimes with a pen, sometimes even with this thumb drive. Today, while doing this reaction, I was fidgeting with this. I had the little tools out like this, and I had them against my finger, which was in there, and I was just moving them back and forth, obviously off screen. During the later half of the second part of this episode, during the later half of 18B, I was gripping at this so tightly that for a moment there, I left a bright red indent in my finger. And you may be wondering, okay, what does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with your afterthoughts on this episode? Well, the only time I would grip something that hard that it would do that is out of frustration or just straight up anger. And so what do I have to be angry about? These episodes were kind of important, were they not? They went back to part of the main plot line that's going on right now with Meteora, as she now prefers to be called, trying to get back to St. Olga's to relive some of her memories so she can eventually take the throne that she technically, rightfully, is owed. So, if you've watched my Star vs. reactions on my previous channel, you might know why I'm upset. It has nothing to do with 18A. But again, the later half of 18B. It's not that I just don't ship Star and Marco, but I am actually against the idea of their relationship. For multiple reasons. One of which being that they have no romantic chemistry. They have great chemistry as best friends, but they have no romantic chemistry. There is no on-screen chemistry that links them in a romantic sense. And the idea of them getting together oftentimes feels like my second point. They're doing it just because they're the main male and female character. And I've always hated that with a lot of shows. Okay, you have a main male character, main female character, they have to end up together. I hate that. I like it when shows subvert that, or movies or games or whatnot, and they go against that. They have the main character end up with a side character, or the main character ends up with no one at all, but the main female character might end up with another character. An example of this that actually I think is really good example of this is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Despite my issues with the gargoyles in that movie, the rest of the movie is still very good. And one of the biggest reasons is because Quasimodo did not end up with Esmeralda in the end. He didn't end up with anyone. And yes, he made great friends, and people started to accept him, and that's awesome. But in terms of romance, Esmeralda ended up with, I believe his name is Captain Phoebes, the knight, the soldier guy. he and Esmeralda ended up together. Esmeralda was the main female character of the movie. Quasimodo the main male character. They did not end up together. And I liked that. They didn't even try to pair them together. Yet, in Star Versus, it's always seemed to me like that they were going to end up, of course, trying to pair Star and Marco. The show has definitely led to that idea. So, when Marco actually got together with Jackie, you know, the character who he does have romantic chemistry with, the character who would actually be just an amazing person for him to be with and would make sense, I was actually hopeful. And then, even after they broke up, Star ended up with Tom. Again, someone she has romantic chemistry with. Someone she has in story lore with. Or history, or whatever you want to say. And I was excited because I agreed with that. Because it made sense. There was chemistry there. There was something to back it up. I don't like ships. Or couples, especially if they're canon couples, where there's no romantic chemistry. And I especially dislike it when the only chemistry they do have is as best friends. Because that kind of implies that guys and girls can't just be friends. That they have to be romantically interested in each other. Now, the idea of Star and Marco having these interests in each other alone is not a bad idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they can't have those interests in each other, but I do not think that they should end up as a couple. In fact, I think it would actually be detrimental to the show. A show that is extremely progressive and smart in how it works its characters. To basically take that drastic of a step backwards would hurt the show dramatically, in my viewpoint. Now, we saw in this episode Marco kiss Star, basically admitting he does share her feelings for... share her feelings. He likes her too. She likes him. We kind of knew this already. But again, they were kind of going their different ways, and Star found that she did truly love Tom. And since his breakup with Jackie, Marco's been kind of having this sort of pseudo relationship with Kelly, and even they have better romantic chemistry than him and Star. I would have been fine with that. Although I still think he should get back together with Jackie, but still. I know I'm harping on this for quite a long time. And I promise you, I'm going to focus on the other stuff that this episode had to. But this is a kind of a deal for me. Because another thing I've mentioned before is that I truly value the concept of love. It's, in my eyes, the most important concept you can have in real life or in any show or movie or game or whatnot. Of course, that counts for all different kinds of love. But because I value just the general concept of love so highly, I tend to take it a lot more seriously than a lot more people. So when stuff like this happens, it bothers me more than it would someone else. Even someone else who might not be like all for the Star and Marco ship, Starco, whatever. Even someone else might not, who isn't in agreement with that ship, might not have the same reaction as me. But I do, because that kind of thing bothers me. Because like I said, it just completely feels like they're trying to force them together just because of their roles in the show. Just because she's the main female character and he's the main male character. The only way they can salvage this at this point is to have it so that maybe they start to show interest in each other. Maybe they even start going out. Star breaks up with Tom or whatnot, and I guess it's never really been said that Marco's with Kelly, so I guess there wouldn't need to be anything there for a breakup. But maybe they go out for a while and find that, yeah, it's not going to work between them. And that they go back to their other partners, for lack of a better word. Star goes back to Tom, and Marco goes back to either Jackie or even Kelly. That would be the only way to salvage this at this point. Because yeah, I'm going to move on and talk about the rest of this episode because I'm just getting legitimately pissed off the more I talk about this. So let's talk about 18A. So Ponyhead returns to St. Olga's for some reason. We don't really know why. I guess she just wants to party and have fun for a little while because her sisters are getting to be too much. Okay. Kind of a flimsy reason, but again, it's Ponyhead. And granted, her sisters are a bit much, but still. I mean, it still seems like a silly reason to go back to there. But she finds out that the school's not exactly like what she remembers it being, and is a little irritated by that. Suddenly, we have the return of Miss Heinous, or Meteora, and Gemini. They start storming the gates to St. Olga's, and eventually make their way in with the help of a fully healed Rasticor. And instead of actually going for any of the princesses, Meteora is just after St. Olga herself. See, apparently St. Olga is a robot who adopted Meteora when she was a baby. Meteora's father, the king, I cannot think of his name, and I really don't care because I can't stand him. Well, actually, no, technically not Meteora's father. Oh, Eclipsa. The name escaped me for a minute, and I was, like, worried because it's like, I should not be forgetting that. Eclipsa's ex-husband, the old king of Muni, apparently he had given Meteora to St. Olga, the robot. And she had raised Meteora as Heinous, as a completely different person, basically. And because Meteora was just a baby when she was given away, she knew no better. She grew up with St. Olga telling her to hide her cheek marks, to be prim and proper, to just forgo who she was. And I really feel bad for her. Like, no joke, I really felt bad for her when I was watching those flashbacks. Well, memories, I guess you could say. Because here's the thing. She does have a right to the throne, technically. She was supposed to be next in line after Eclipsa. But at the same time, that was, what, thousands of years ago or something? That was a long freaking time ago. The lineage moved on, and even though it wasn't the actual lineage, while Meteora does still have a claim to the throne, she can't just take it. I mean, she could try, and she will try, clearly. But, yeah, it's just like, holy cow. And then on top of it, Ponyhead tries to stop her, and apparently in a rage she does something really bad to her. Like, I'm almost worried she killed her. And I don't know if Star Versus would go there, but honestly, I could see it happening. All we saw is that Meteor had apparently torn off Ponyhead's horn, which is a scary prospect. So I don't know. And then at the end, Rastakor, who apparently it kind of implied that he and Meteora had been together before, and admittedly, it did seem that that Meteora, when she was going by Heinous, did seem to have feelings towards him. She seemed to really care about him, you know, while she was nursing him back to health and everything. Um, and it would make sense. I mean, she could have easily gotten that just innate attraction to monsters from her mother. So it kind of implied that they were together, that they weren't just like, it wasn't just that Rastakor was working for her, but that they were actually a couple. And so Rastakor kind of like pieces out because he's like, I can't do this anymore. He's like, basically, he's trying to like talk his way around it and make these excuses, but in the end, it's basically like this isn't the same, I guess you could say, the same woman he fell in love with. So in response, she kind of goes off the deep end. It's revealed that Gemini was a robot. I legit did not see that coming. She rips out his heart, effectively killing him, throws the heart at Rastakor, causing it to explode, reverting him back to just an arm again. And now she's on her way to try and to try and capture Muni for herself, to get the throne that she is owed. So, holy crap. We know this is going to culminate in a reunion between her and her mother. They never really got a chance to know each other, so that's going to be interesting. And this is big. Right now, Meteora is the main villain of the show. I mean, Eclipsa, for all intents and purposes that we know of right now, is innocent. She was accused of things that she didn't do just because she loved a monster. And those rumors were probably started not only by the Magic High Commission, but by her ex-husband, the former king. So all because she loved a monster more than him. And because of it, she was falsely claimed. And again, she could end up being bad. There is still that possibility, but at the moment, I honestly think I don't believe she is. And that's surprising to me, because I was always on the side that maybe she's still evil and this is all a ruse or something. And I was always thinking like there's still that possibility, and this could all be a trick to just throw us off guard, and it still could. But honestly, at this point, I'm thinking it's not a trick. I think that she is innocent. Now, the question is, what's going to happen from here? Where is this going to go? Now, outside of the issue I had with it, I will talk about 18B here a bit. So we find out that Marco is not being genuine with Star in the photo booth because he apparently still is stuck on the entire feelings thing. But because he's not being genuine in the photos, the goblin inside of it shuts it down and takes them back to his place, his house, I guess, and basically tricks them into believing they're trapped in there until they come clean. Even though he knows that he could let them out at any point. This episode felt like it was going to be like this deal with Marco maybe drifting away from Star, maybe finding that she's just either not the same as he is, kind of like with Rastigor, not the same as he like originally found her in charming for, you know what I mean? Or that he just wanted something else from his life and he felt like she was holding him back or something like that. You get the kind of general gist I'm going for here. In fact, I think that would have been better than the entire love angle because it would have connected to 18A, which would have given this point of reference for things going forward. Otherwise, there's not really much to the episode without talking about the romantic angle because it pretty much all revolves around that. I'll put it this way. 18A was phenomenal. 18B pisses me off. And I'm just hoping that this goes somewhere in the future that is a lot better. And that changes my thoughts on this and that fixes things. Because I can't even speak right now. I need to get to something else. If I don't get to something else, if I don't do something else right now, I'll probably lose my mind as much as Meteora did here. I need to turn my attention to something else. So, tell me in the comments below what you thought of episode 18 of season 3 of Star Versus. What did you think of everything that happened? What did you think of Gemini being a freaking robot? And the apparent romance between Meteora and Rastigor? And Saint Olga being a thing? And Meteora having huge sympathy votes in her favor there? And Ponyhead's possible death? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I really hope that I didn't just turn you away with all of this upset ranting over the second half of this episode. Keep in mind, it is just my opinion. You do not have to believe the same things I do. You do not have to agree with my thoughts on that. If you like Starco as a ship, that's fine. I'm just saying that I don't. And in my views, it hurts the show to be going in this direction. So in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie Royal, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears.